Look at this behind me. Oh my gosh. I'm on the roof terrace of my hotel right now, and the sunset is just epic. And I had just had like one of those hilarious traveler moments a few minutes ago where I tried to open up the doors to the pool entrance just to see like some nice aerial views of Malta, and I realized there was the most amazing rainbow, and I'm gonna put a picture in here because I took a picture of it through the door, but it looks so much better in real life, and now I'm a bit sad that I couldn't have caught it. But I did be that traveler, and I called downstairs to the hotel and I asked them if they would send someone out to open the door, and they did. They were really nice about it. So I'm gonna show you some really beautiful aerial views of Malta, and St. Julian's specifically, where I am staying. So I am off to dinner with the folks that I'm here with this weekend, and then tomorrow it's all working, but hopefully on Saturday afternoon I can get a little fun travel and sightseeing time while I'm here. So woohoo, off we go. Seriously, the elevators are kind of creepy. You have to step inside of them for the lights to turn on, and then it's still a bit creepy. So here we are in my hotel room. I thought I'd give you a really quick walking tour. I'm staying at Hotel Argento in St. Julian's, and I've got just kind of a regular standard room here, but it's great. It's super spacious. I mean, way bigger than my little flat in London. Has kind of some nice views, which I think I've shown you a bit of before. Just simple, nice views. Little wardrobe, nice little desk area. Some nice kind of free tea and coffee, which you find quite standard in Europe. And then we'll show you the bathroom. This is my bathroom. Could probably use a bit more counter space, to be honest, because I feel like I pack everything when I travel. Too many beauty products, YOLO. And then, yeah, so I've just kind of expanded onto here. But yeah, looks perfectly fine and lovely. But yes, will be a nice home for the 2 nights that I am here. And it's only like 130 euros, I think, for 2 nights, and that includes breakfast. So, woo woo. Hello again from Malta. I am in the little village now of Birgu on the island, and I am just gonna wander and explore a little bit for the day before I hop the ferry over to Valletta. So come join me and let's see what we discover on this beautiful little part of Malta. If you come to Malta, I highly recommend a visit to Birgu. So Birgu is also known as Città Vittoriosa, which stands for Victorious City in Italian. And I apologize if I have not pronounced that correctly in Italian, but it is an old fortified city on the south side of the Grand Harbor in the southeastern region of Malta. And Birgu has origins dating back to medieval times, and that's what makes it so special to wander through. You truly feel as though you're stepping back in time, and as a result, my favorite thing to do, and what I recommend you do in Birgu, is just get a bit lost, have a wander through the small, narrow streets of Birgu, take in the historic architecture, look at all of the stunning doorways. There's so many beautiful, colorful doorways and interesting buildings. As someone who loves architecture, I thoroughly enjoyed my stroll through Birgu. But what's interesting about Birgu, and I encourage you spend some more time reading about Maltese history, but the reason why it stands for Victorious City is because because of its position on the Grand Harbor, Birgu was a very significant place to defend Malta, and also for folks that wanted to occupy Malta, they would have to try and gain a position in Birgu to have a significant position to have control over Malta. So there is a very significant period where Napoleon eventually took over Malta in 1798, but then, scandalous, the Grand Harbor was then blockaded by Maltese rebels, aided by Britain, Portugal, and Naples, and eventually in September 1800, Malta became a British protectorate with the Royal Mediterranean, the Royal Navy's Mediterranean fleet establishing their base in Birgu and stationing them there until 1979, actually. So quite an interesting one, and definitely worth brushing up on your Maltese history if you do come to Birgu. After a wonderful exploration of Birgu, I hopped on the ferry from Birgu to Valletta, and this ferry is an incredibly scenic one, and I would also say a must-do if you're coming to Malta. It's a great kind of way to get that experience of being on the water without having to privately hire a boat. I definitely recommend sitting on the top level of the boat, which is what I did, and I just loved taking in just the beautiful scenery as we went over to Valletta. It's a very short ferry boat ride, but definitely a great one. And I took the ferry over. It was super easy, and I am just basically chasing the sunset a little bit here, trying to see as much as I possibly can before it gets dark. The one tip that my local friends here gave me was to immediately when you get off the ferry, take from from one island to the other, go a little bit to the left when you get into Valletta, and there is actually a lift that takes you up to kind of like a garden, like scenic viewpoint area, and that's where I am right now, just getting in some scenic views before I go into the city. As I entered Valletta, I first spent some time wandering around the upper Baracca. It's B-A-R-R-A-K-K-A, so I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. Baracara, upper Baracca Gardens. And I think one tip for travelers is don't get confused by the lower gardens versus the upper gardens. So as I mentioned, you have to go up this lift when you come in, so that takes you up to the upper gardens, and on Google Maps there's very similar photos of both gardens, making them seem like they're the same thing, and they're not. So I went up to that set of gardens, took in just the beautiful architecture, and then continued my way further into Malta. So I went over towards St. James Bastion just to take in some more scenic views, and then made my way over to the Triton Fountain, which was absolutely stunning. I also definitely took a look at the Valletta City Gate, and then made my way further into the St. John's Co-Cathedral before just enjoying a great wander around Valletta. Valletta is definitely more on the tourist path than Birgu was. So when I was in Birgu, I was completely alone. I maybe saw a few people here and there, but then when I went to Valletta, I realized this is where everyone hangs out. And for good reason. When it is cruise season, the cruise ships actually dock in Valletta, so consider yourself warned. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go and see it, but what I would recommend is when you are on the main streets, you are going to encounter more crowds versus if you wander down the little alleys and side streets just to enjoy the architecture, that's when you'll really get more of a sense for Malta and for Valletta and just for kind of the energy there. So I really enjoyed that. I love checking out architecture, seeing historic churches, and that's how I spent my time in Valletta, as well as I had a dinner with a friend before we went on to our evening festivities, which as part of the group that I was there working with, they had a celebratory drinks that evening. So my friend and I got a quick dinner beforehand, and then we went to the celebratory drinks, and that's where we finished our night in Valletta, and it was absolutely wonderful. So with that said, guys, that wraps up my video on Malta. It was my first time in Malta. I didn't have that much time to sightsee, but I'm hoping that this will at least give you some inspiration for if you should go to Malta. I've given you a great recommendation of a place to stay, as well as a few ideas on what to do. Definitely go to Birgu. Absolutely was my favorite, but what it's done is this trip has just made me want to go back and see so much more of Malta. I haven't done half of the iconic sites, so definitely stay tuned. It's still very much on my bucket list in the future. Definitely gotta plan a trip back. So Malta, here's to seeing each other again in the future, and I hope this inspires you to check out more of the great tourist attractions and gorgeous sites and history and culture and architecture of this beautiful country. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. If you like this video, please hit that like button. It really helps give me a sense of the types of videos that you like. I would absolutely love it if you subscribe to this channel. I love seeing that this little old channel is growing slowly but surely. Gives me kind of a bit of joy to see that you're enjoying it and you want to tune in to what my next video is going to be. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and I will see you soon.